Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. Took me a little bit of extra time to get going, but we're ready to go. Hey there, Tatum. I'm going to run a quick check here. Make sure that the audio is working properly. Hey there, Rex. Hey there. We're just gonna check here. Okay, sorry, had to check that. Had to check that. It's been breaking lately. It's been breaking lately. There we go. Well, I hope good thoughts, Tatum. I hope good thoughts. How is everybody doing today? Having a good day, being productive, more productive than me. It is going to be a coding stream again today. For those that were here last time, actually, let's check the kitty. Let's check where the kitties are. Getting ahead of myself. For those that were here last time, we had updated two things. At least two things. We got creature spawning to be, or object spawning to be more flexible. So we have this concept of a pool type with the creature to spawn, or the thing to spawn. So we can set that it's like, this is a monster, this is a bullet, that kind of thing. Hey there, cheese. We're just getting started. Welcome. And we also changed it so that you can daisy chain movement types. But there was an outstanding question at the end of the last time, and that was, how can we make it, like, code-wise, how can we make it so that once part of the movement chain defines a target, that we can make it stick properly? That, say, if the first part of the movement chain is a home in on a target, that subsequent things that need a target use the same target. Now, the difficulty with that, and the reason that that's a thing, is if we look at this, to a random mob, this selects a random mob when it readies itself. So this is where we'd want that mob to become the target. So one, it remembers what its target is. Actually, no, not this one. Track player. So this one says the player, but if I said, like, track a particular monster, is it still going to function right? Or do we want to say, if it's to a random monster and then the second one is track a monster, that it will track the same monster, that you don't get two different tracking targets, one being the random monster that it keeps moving towards, and the other one being it arcs towards, say, what the closest monster was. That could be a problem, or at least a maintainability and usability problem. Well, cheese, if you gotta go, you gotta go. It's fine either way. Kitties are flipping out a little bit in the background off camera. Sky is in nuisance mode. And Sherbet has found something to bat around and play with. Sammy is soaking back scratches and pets. I back scratched her wrong, so I got a corrective nip. You're petting a cat and they do that, like, very light bite. Now, if it's a hard bite, then they're saying, you hurt me, stop it. Or that really upset me. But if it's just that, like, they just press their teeth into you a little bit, if you stop what you're doing, that is them correcting you. That is saying, no, you did that wrong. It's the same sort of behavior that cats will use on like kittens and whatnot. Or just other cats. That is a way for them to communicate, hey, stop it. Tatum, I did not see you try to join the Discord. As I mentioned, I don't pull any, like, I won't react like friend requests in similar. But if you join the Discord, then I can set permissions. But I didn't see you having joined the Discord. So this is random direction. That's fine. Random direction is fine since it doesn't actually set a target. Later, cheese. So what we need is a concept almost like a movement body, maybe? I wonder if instead of having each be... Now, one possibility is instead of having these be part of physics process, that movement methods would be called as like a list. Each one would call the next one. So it would be like, do this in return some sort of property or some sort of thing. Again, we're trying to figure out how we can daisy chain the movement properly. Because the more I do this, the more I'm kind of feeling the idea of getting modular abilities instead of fixed abilities and upgrades that, you know, you might have an array of weapons like in Vampire Survivors, you know, your meteor strike from above style holy water, your boomerangs and your whips and whatnot kind of things, you know, rethemed. But instead of steadily upgrading until eventually it says, well, you have these two items, they merge, have it where you just merge them. You get things like, oh, this is a homing upgrade, so I'm going to stick that to one of my projectiles, and now it will home on the nearest monster when it's fired. That kind of thing. And if I get this movement pattern set up this way, then we can do things like have a hard override for the movement behavior. Make it so that you can stack those. Hey there, Adam. Welcome. We're just getting started. I'm trying to talk through what I'm hoping to accomplish today. And I went through the trouble of getting this structure in place. I'm wondering if we need to do more. So again, what we accomplished last time is if we look at, I think it's in mob template. Yes. So we have movement templates. And what movement templates do... this one. Not that one. That one's not updated. So what we can do is we can say, like, okay, I have a chain of movement types that I can set into a creature, or, well, a moving entity, or just an entity in general. And right now what happens is that each of them influences the movement. But I don't know that that's necessarily what we want to have happen. Because what we're ending up with is, one, I can't I can't guarantee that physics process is going to happen in the order that's in the list. And additionally, there's no way for me to have information roll downward, you know? I said, one of the things I want to do is say if it's aiming at a random mob, that becomes the target for subsequent movement patterns. And hey there, Kebo, welcome. We are just a little into it. So one of the things I'm thinking is instead of having it be that the movement of that the movement intrinsically just happens because of each one that's stuck to it, that instead what it'll do is we have some default methodology that says, okay, call them in sequence. The difficulty with that is that it would be overridable, is we could ignore that process. I don't know that I necessarily want. Uh-oh. Let me fix. Is it working again? I still haven't figured out what is causing that. It's like the audio breaks down. Wonder if I just need to flip the switch now and again, like set some sort of timer. I also don't want it hitching randomly, and that's what would happen if I just do it on a timer. How annoying. Now, oversleeping can be good, though of course it can interrupt other parts of your life, you know. Not a great thing if it's cutting into your job. But sometimes it's a useful hard reset, you know, forcing you to get more rest than you thought you needed. Okay, so how do we do this? Ready is still good. Well, we could have it that there's a master object. We could have a master object. Okay, so every entity has, right now it just has a series of movement templates that are glued to it. But what if instead every entity had a like a container object, like a class or something like that, that contains the list of movement templates. And that container object during physics process is the one that calls movement actions on the individual ones in sequence, which would allow them to pass either a fixed object along, or just a position, like this is your target. Because tracking, like if we look at a tracking movement, tracking doesn't actually track an entity. It gets the location of that entity and would say, this is what I want to track. So if we pass in a position to it, then subsequent ones could say, like, okay, here's the position. Like, this is what I should be aiming at. That could still get tricky. I think there are going to be some that we just have to be careful that they don't change it or they don't set it. Like, subsequently. But that's the thing. So let's say, Well, that's good. I mean, if it's not interrupting anything, Kebo, if it's not disrupting anything, then hey, it's all good. You got extra sleep. Yeah. It's if I pass like an entity in, then that ensures that it also knows that I'm passing something. What I may have to do is wrap it, you know, that there's a target object, and that target object contains, say, like the player or the monster or a fixed position, so that then if something actually is supplying a target, that it will return a target entity. So let's say the first thing says fire at a random mob, it's going to return a target. It says, I fired at that random mob. Like that one. So then other things could be like, oh, you fired at that random target. I'll track that target now. Or I'll bounce away from that target, or, you know, whatever. But if it says fire in a random direction, then that's different. That doesn't have a target. That just has a, I'm moving in this direction. Yeah, like that, Tass. It's, so if we look at to a random mob, once it determines the direction, to random mob doesn't care. It just moves in that direction. So it said, you know, like, get one of these monsters. This is actually broken. We'll have to see. Just anyway. No worries if you gotta go, Adam. Thanks for joining us either way. Beverage. Well, if let's see. So this one doesn't care. Once it has a direction that it's moving in, it just keeps moving that way. This is movement direction. Once it determines that during its ready, it just keeps going that way. So even if it would accept, so this one would accept the target, because it's, if prior to it firing towards a mob is already identified, then it would just move in that direction. Later, Adam. And hey there, is it Prince? Or Alex? I'm going to say Alex because that's a name I recognize. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, I think that's what we're moving towards, is I think the idea of... Hey there, Landon. I think the idea of two containers that we need. We need one is a target. And a way... Alex it is. A way to set things like this creature, this player, that kind of thing can be wrapped as a target. Because I don't know if I want to wrap the player as a mob. There's a lot of extra baggage that comes with being a mob that the player doesn't actually have. I could just have a universal, but, you know, like an Object 2D wrapper for them that is effectively a thing. This is a thing. Or a spatial thing. Because a spatial thing would have a position. But it wouldn't propagate up. Not too difficult there, Alex. Well, it's learning. This is learning. We're learning GD script, and we're thinking through it. Does this crash? Weird. Maybe I did rename those. I think yeah. But I don't know why get mob count worked. And I might have a way to fix the positioning problem of, like, the spawners without having to put their position in a known spot. Thank you, Fairy. Thank you very much. Okay. So we have a couple of things. So first, while I'm thinking on it, spawner is currently just a node. But if we change its type to a node 2D, that means it has a position. And if it has a position, then our spawn position won't necessarily be required. Yep, Tess. If we were talking in, like, C or something like that, we would be saying it's an interface. Unfortunately, with GDScript, we have sort of a... Well, no. We have single object class inheritance. And then we have object nesting. So we can say this object contains this object in the node structure, or we can say that this object extends this other one. But we can't actually just say this one gains this interface. We can accomplish that. But where is it? This. Collision happened if collider has method. I think we can pass by reference. We can pass a reference. So, we can essentially fake an interface, as long as we have a good convention for it. Like, this is effectively saying, is it hurtable? If it's hurtable, hurt it. That's actually pretty accurate, Kebo. That's right, Tatum. Let's do a quick check. Let's see if there's a better cat cam to focus on. You know, I can't say that I do, Crazy Monk, but even though your profile picture is really tiny to me right now, something strikes me as it being familiar. Let's center on Ember for a bit here. It is going well, Alex. It is going well. Okay. Okay. Sorry if I forget. My memory can be spotty. Well, you're in luck, Fairy. I have 5 cats, and I tend to keep them on camera in the lower left there. Sometimes on the camera array like this, and sometimes zoomed in like this. How's that, Tess? What's your thought? Is it upper left? That would be plausible. On my okay, crazy. I see what you're saying. Yes, on the short form stream, the tall format stream, the camera is above me. Yes. On the wide format streams, the other stream on YouTube and the Twitch stream, it's my lower left. Okay, I see what you mean. I confused myself. No worries, you are correct. You were correct. Let's see, a list of interfaces. We could do that. I think ultimately, what you're describing would be in a very explicit form of this. So yeah, okay. Because if it's targetable, we could just say, if it is, if it has the interface targetable, if it returns that as a collection, then we'll call target on it. Do you mean like a tabletop card game kind of thing, Fairy? I once looked at doing something like that, but didn't follow through, And that's a big part of these kind of creative projects, is deciding if you want to follow through with it. Sometimes you'll get in there and you'll think that you want to do it, and you'll plan it out and realize, oh man, this is not something I actually want to do. Like, well, a lot of people can actually approach like making a game, learning to do like the code that you need to do with it, and actually making a game. There are some times when you don't just want to make a game. You have some particular vision of what you want to make. So like, you want to make your own version of Fortnite. But your skill isn't to that point. And ultimately what you're trying to decide is, do I want to learn and build up the skill to make the thing that I want to make? Am I willing to practice or no? And if you're not, that's fine. It's just, are you ready to practice to get your skill to the point you need it to be at? Ooh. Oop. Hey there, Ariel. Or is it Ariel? Either way, let me know. Hey there, Uni. Translating. This is a coding stream. It's also a chatting stream. By nature of what we're doing, there's going to just be a lot of chat. Whether it is me muttering about Ariel, a proto-nanotype is genderless. My voice is stereotypical male presenting. That cat, Jose, is Ember. She is my most photogenic cat, in that during stream, that's usually where she is. She hangs out on camera 1. Okay, let's see. What kind of puppy, Jose? Let's see. So if we go with the model of saying what interfaces do you have, we need to make sure that every object that we have implements that interface. So we would need to make sure that all core objects would have that. So like a mob body would need that. And the player would need that. That's still definitely a young puppy then. Sorry, thinking. Yeah. So what I want to avoid is having a double call. I don't want to get an object and say, do you have the interface method? And then say, if you have the interface method, get the interface. What I could do... Everything should be... If we assume that everything we get is a packed scene, then I could nest that. But it would still be kind of a twofold method call, at least. Am I worried about that? It's not efficient, that's true, but I'm already... this is already not the best thing to do. Hey there, Colin. I am newtmechanist. And we are doing a coding and chat stream. We're making a game in Godot engine. Sipping a beverage. Let's see. Because I'm thinking we could wrap this. And if we wrap that, then we can just say, I don't care what you are. First, you have this method. Goodbye, Uni. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. So if we go into our globals... Wish I had called that something different, but it doesn't matter. Okay, no, that wasn't going to break. I named it differently. Okay, so those are our mob functions. Then what we want is... Actually, we're going to put those up top. Window is that one. There we go. Okay, so these are our mob functions. What we'll have next is some interface functions. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going to have this is more verbosely named as this is a thing that might have an interface. What could this be? It's object A. Okay. As method. There we go. It is something. It is a something. This is a string. This is a string spelled right. Okay, if it has get interfaces, false, just to be sure. First thing I noticed that someone might be wearing, I would usually notice something like glasses first, and then probably like, you know, outer layers inward. So like, you know, your coat to your sweater to your shirt, that kind of thing, depending on what it is. I wouldn't notice like pants or shoes unless it was at a distance. What would I think? Probably wouldn't unless I ended up interacting with that person in some fashion. If they were being really loud, that kind of thing. Strongly type our interfaces. So one of the issues, Tass, is that enums are local. Like, I can't use this anywhere else. Inside of this, I can use it. But outside of it, I have to use the integer. Yeah, I know, right? Now, I could use, in theory, I could use a method, but the problem is the method, none of this will help me put it in a template. So this is just local so that I can differentiate it in the method that it ultimately processes it. So I can use it here, but everywhere else I have to do that. Yeah. I mean, we could dodge around it. We could dodge around it. We could have an object that is a parent class that has a method that says get mob pool type. And then the subsequent ones override it and they return some sort of int. And then in the template, instead of passing in a value, I pass in the object, which has to then, you then have to call a function on it. But then we're incurring more costs. Is it Taija? But either way, hello, hello. If I do mispronounce something as far as how names are spelled and pronounced, let me know. I will do my best to do it right. And remember, I can't guarantee the second one. Sometimes, Tatum, I have had cats that love anything that crinkles. Makes that crinkly sound. Is coding hard? When you're just getting started, sometimes it is. Some people refer to a knack for programming. I don't really think that that exists as a whole. What I think is that there are some people that have an easier time initially grasping the idea of functional thinking. Like thinking of things as a lump of operations, as opposed to like an end goal. So even if that's not something that you immediately have a grasp of, it's something that you can learn. It's something that you can work towards. That kind of thing. I do not let my cats outside, Tatum. A cat that lives exclusively indoors has less than a quarter of the lifespan of a cat that lives exclusively indoors. And outdoors is more dangerous between exposure to elements, other humans, other animals, that kind of thing. Parasites, that kind of thing. Dangerous. The cat that you could see on camera, Fairy, was Ember. She is in one of the upper cameras. She is the kind of gray and tan orange one with white socks. You can see Sky up in one of the cat trees. He's kind of a floofy gray and white. Then over on a pillow on a bed is Mason. And you can mostly see her looking out a window. That's Sammy. She's a tuxedo. So yeah, I think for the purposes of simplicity right now, what we have to assume is if something is in get interfaces, we'll call get interfaces, and that will give us a list. It's not even worth it, though. So if an object has an interface, then it has a core method. But any of the methods would work. So just asking for the core method is roundabout. So yeah, let's keep going with this. Let's keep going with this. Is an array. Oh, string. Yeah, that's the syntax. What was it called? It's the interface name. Ooh, there's a lot of nesting here, but, well... we could short circuit some of the... We could make some of this look less nested, but frankly, that makes the code less readable. Take a quick look then, huh? Apparently, Kebo, that means black licorice. At least according to DeepL Translate. Do you like black licorice? I just realized that. I'm using an internal variable that has the same name as the method. Oh, well. Technically, it knows the difference, but I don't like that. Does have... This is messy looking, but what we don't want is confusion in this. We don't want to have a local that this is technically a variable. This is an object that is set to be a function that is this. I don't want to have a local that overrides that name. I don't like that. It can be, Fairy. Part of the fun is thinking through how to do it. A big part of coding this kind of project is thinking through it enough, but also not getting bogged down in backtracking and ripping things up and remaking them unless it's going to benefit you enough. Okay, so this has get interfaces, and this is an array. So then if we have... so we go into the player. So the player has a hurt function. So we can do something like this. So if it's hurtable, you can call hurt. If it's targetable, you can call, get position on it or something like that. Just so. If it were to be, if we finish it, Tatum, and if it is to a quality that I would be willing to go through the trouble of getting it on, like, an app store, then it would be on an app store. Otherwise, if we finish it, we would put it on, say, like, a Discord or something like that. Maybe it would be membership access first. We'll see. But first we got to finish it. That's step one. If we can get past step one, then we're going to consider, what steps 5+ could be. Colon. Self. Oh. Ooh. Okay. We need a... I don't know that I like that. Okay. It's it's not the worst convention. It's, if the thing is hurtable, then we're going to hurt a hurtable. Hey there, Daniel. I mean, the concept of the iOS App Store has been abused, and I don't like that. The idea of iOS itself, meh. I mean, it's not much different than Linux or Windows or anything, ultimately. Setting aside whether people are real big into the idea of one platform being effectively or touted as open source or not. We are making a game, Daniel. We are making a game. Blob body has method. Okay, so this is going to be our convention. This is hurtable, actually. Oh, how are we going to do this? That's not really what it is. Global notes. What is it? Has interface. Okay. Kind of busy there. Do the dogs and cats get along, Fairy? Oh. Interface hurtable. Sammy has come to join there. Hey there, lol. Welcome. Okay, it has interface hurtable. Okay, that's what we need. So then in purple projectile, in blob. And let's just... That'll do for now, I think. Yeah. Does it explode? It exploded. There we go. Still having a problem. There we go. Nope, lol, I pushed the stream back to today. Oh. Oh, that's broken. Okay. To have an interface hurtable. All right, let's purple projectile. Blob body. Blobs are not hurtable. I made blobs hurtable. Oh, no. I made mobs hurtable. Yeah. Mobs should not be hurtable. Mobs themselves are not hurtable. I may make a super class to monsters and make that extend a mob body and make the monsters extend monster so that monsters can be hurtable, but ultimately the individual monsters should react. I mean, that's unfortunate, Tatum. Okay, and then get interfaces, turns, hurtable. And we'll get to you in a moment. Return. All right, let's try that again. We'll go purple bubbles. At breakpoint. Get interfaces. What's going wrong? Why is that wrong? Have to let's try to reload it. Maybe that'll do it. But I want to strongly type it. There we go. I just had to reload it. Okay, that's a burden. That's a burden. But is a convention we can use. So we're having to do this. This intermediary variable assignment is to ensure that what we return is explicitly an array of strings. Well, good, Tatum. I appreciate them joining. Ah, neat. I do like pixel art myself. Some of that is because I'm not great at other art, but I do like the general aesthetic. Some of that's just a bit of nostalgia, you know? Hey there, Original. Welcome. Okay, so then we need to go into player. Use this pattern in its get interfaces. So we are chatting and making a game. Okay, bubbles are hitting the blobs and making the blobs go away. Blobs can still hit the player. Excellent, excellent. It's working, it's working. Okay, so we have a pattern for interfaces now. It's a bit roundabout, but frankly, it'll work. It'll work. It dodges an issue or a limitation. So now if we know something is targetable, we can get like a position on it, that kind of thing. Yep. We just got to keep to them, Task. We just got to stick to them. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go into global nodes. There we go. How often do I live stream, Fairy? I try to stream about 5 times a week or so. Issues recently have made it a bit unstable, but about 5 times a week, about 3 hours when I stream. I may start streaming a little bit more, but we'll see. For reference, we're about an hour in. And actually, since we're an hour in, it's time for a short break. For those of you that are liking what you're seeing and would like to see more, remember to like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is on the platform you're viewing through. All of those help you see more of things like this, as well as this channel in particular. Like I said, short break. We're going to be right back. In the interim, listen to some music. Right, we're back, just settling in. Okay. So we've got our interface pattern down, and we have the concept of targetable thus considered. So we don't have to care what the thing is as long as it is targetable. Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad you like the avatar. I like it too. It is good to be comfortable in your form. Ember needs to toast the other side. She likes to lay on that particular heating pad. Okay. And conveniently, because we have built this way, if it doesn't have get interfaces, it implements no interfaces. Yeah. Let's do a quick check. I think we might have two of them on one camera, though Sammy may have bolted by now. Nope, Sammy's still there. Zoom and enhance. There we go. So you got Sky snoozing up top and Sammy below him. Okay, so the next thing we need is a pattern for... So right now our movers are... Yep, we got a double. The most we tend to get on camera at any given time is a triple. Usually, if we're going to see multiple, it'll be a double. If that's going to happen, it's usually on the bed. But similar frequency, Sky will snuggle up with Ember where she is. Which is usually a bit of mutual grooming, and then Sky uses her as a pillow. Because he's almost like twice her size. Okay. So now a movement. So if we go up here to the idea of a movement template. So this is a universal in a movement template, but we don't really want it to be. So what we want instead, let's just noodle on this a bit. So it's going to have a target, which is an object. No, I've never had all of the cats on one camera. Maybe we've gotten 4, as in there might have been 3 on this particular camera and then 1 passing through, but I don't think we've ever had all 5. We've come kind of close. Every now and then we used to use a fishing rod and a cat toy in order to play with them in the play area camera. But I have a couple that are greedy. If they catch the toy, they'll just try to steal it. So nobody else gets to play with it. So that kind of lost some of the attraction there. laser pointer can still work, but most of mine are clever enough to know that I'm the one with the laser pointer. Okay, so it has an object and it has a delta, which is not strongly typed because we don't get it strongly typed. This is a float, but since it doesn't come in strongly typed, we're not going to assume. So this still has... we're still going to do this. And this will still be the... Gabo, you ever see a... There are two of them, but Netflix has a series called Love, Death, and Robots. And it's appeared at least twice. A post-apocalyptic setting where robots are on, like, tour. Like, 3 robots of different types are on tour, looking around at the shattered remnants of human civilization. And talking about it in the sense that you get of, again, tourists that are vaguely aware of history in a complete amateur sense, derived from articles from, like, amateur archaeologists, you know, the humans of the past used to kind of things. And one of the jokes is that humans bioengineered cats to have thumbs, and that was part of the reason that human civilization collapsed. Is that because cats had thumbs, they had no need of humans anymore. My favorite game changes over time, Tatum. And hello, Riss. Currently, one of my favorite games, one that I'm playing a lot of, is Helldivers 2. It is fun. It is a lot of fun. It can get stressful. And I find it's definitely a game to play with friends. Okay, so... Mover move will always... It will always do its thing. I play a lot of calm games too, Tatum. So we play like Ace Attorney, we play Power Wash Simulator, that kind of thing. Stream is a good time for real chill games. But again, Riss, hello, and how you doing? We're doing code in chat. I have played a lot of Minecraft, Gabo. I really don't like vanilla Minecraft. Like, really don't like it. There are some design principles that I don't like in it. And even modded, it gets tiresome after a bit. But building things can be fun. Vanilla Minecraft is Minecraft without any mods. Okay, so we have into our global nodes. We'll grab this. That. We'll toggle comment. Quickly. Okay, I see what they're doing. And it is movable. No, it is a mover. It does not. It does not get targeted. It does not get hurt in the sense of hurtable or targetable. It is a thing that moves. So it is a mover. Well, no. Yes. A movement template is a mover. So we're going to take this. And it's just going to straight up return the target in this case. Okay. So this is... Do I like furries? In general, not really very, but, furry is a massively broad category. I can't say that I, in general, dislike. It is a character design style, ultimately, in an art sense. And in a community sense, I generally try to avoid making broad generalizations. There are exceptions. There are communities that are fundamentally awful. But there are others, such as that are really just saying, like, it's the equivalent of saying anime fans, There are some that are terrible, and there are some that are just fine. It's like normal people with an interest. Okay. So now, fundamentally, now that we have done this thing, all movement templates have the interface mover, and they have a function called mover move. And barring an override, this will be their mover, which is to say it moves on whatever its vector already is and will report collisions. Now, what we've been doing in other movement templates already, to random mob, is that we have a physics process and it calls the super function. This should always happen, otherwise the mover won't make it move. Now, we may end up changing this in the future, that each mover does not move the object. Instead, each mover changes the vector somewhat. But I kind of like this idea that stacking movement is a composite. Oh. This guy moved here. This guy has come over to snuggle with Ember. They are currently actually the oldest two cats. They had 3 older siblings that passed away. Technically, Skies had 4. So they're extra chummy with each other. So again, we may ultimately change this part of the pattern of calling the super, but we'll go from there. I mean, technically this implements the interface too, but since its parent object does, I don't see the need to implement the interface function on this unless it changes the interfaces. So let's go from there. And here is the reason that we want the target. It is an object. Actually, no, it doesn't need to be an object. It is a mob. Mob body, yeah. Later, Tatum. Is this actually what we want? All right, this is tricky. Okay, no. Because if it sets a target, if it's the target setter, this still works. Because it selects a random mob. No. Because if there's a pre-existing mob that is targeted, then this is just a fire towards mob. So if this is a first thing in the list, then it will select one at random and fire straight towards it. But let's say it follows another one. So there is a lock on to nearest mob. If subsequently the next function is fire at a random mob, then fire at a random mob doesn't do anything random. It just contributes speed. Like it'll say, move in a straight line in the direction of that mob. Or keep moving in a straight line towards where it originally saw that mob. So this ready function only needs to be called when when mob target is initially set. Okay, so we're going to have I'm going to pass for now. We're going to think about this. We're using this one as our starting template because it has the simplest, quote unquote, simplest pattern. Okay, so what it does is when move is initially called, we're going to check and see. Fix that. We're going to see if random mob target is currently null. I'm just going to say if mob target is currently null. Let's fix that. Okay, so if mob target is null, oh, each one of these is moving and colliding, though. No, it shouldn't be doing this. No, that's why. Oopsie doopsie. There we go. Because I copied it, that's why it was doing that. Okay. So, if the target is null, we're going to call set movement direction. And then I'm going to do this. But this isn't quite right. So 2 moves should add to it. Yes. So this is hard overriding right now. We don't actually want that. So that explains some of the variation there. It explains some of the variation. It's hello, Scott. Hello. So I see you. I see you. So we don't want this kind of pattern. What we want is x equals x. Wait, can we just do this? Yeah, okay. So we don't want it to equal, we want it to be additive. Since vector 2 is, it should be a simple type. We shouldn't be getting by reference here. So what this will do is say, like, okay, once I know the movement direction, else Sky, quit it. This guy wants attention right now. Hello. Hello. He crawled up and was headbutting me while I was trying to use the mouse. It is inconvenient. He also does that when I'm playing other games. And if he just wants head scratches or something like that, sometimes he'll just reach over and grab the mouse and start clicking it. Because he is a pretty clever cat. He recognizes that if he messes with the mouse while I'm trying to use it, that will get attention from me. And sadly, it's not the kind of thing that I can ignore to show him that he won't get attention for it. All right. So else... Okay. Hey there, Miss Gloomy. All right, no. So, this is what happens if mob target is null. If we don't have... I'm sorry. So, when move remove is called, we might have a target coming in. If the target is coming in and mob target is null, then we need to set mob target to target in set movement direction. If mob target is not null, then we just use our existing movement direction. So there's a little bit of song and dance we have to do here. The name, I like the name Newt. I think it's fun. Mechanist is a title. It is an archaic term for somebody who works with machines. And since I operate the Catbot factory, it seemed appropriate. More modern term would generally be machinist or mechanic, depending on how they work with machines. But mechanist sounds cooler. Okay, so again, if I have no mob target and target does not equal null. No. Yes. Okay. And then we're going to set movement direction, because that will result in mob target not equaling null. I'm sorry, if the target does not equal null. If the target equals null and the mob target... So, what I'm trying to get to here is if the mob target is not null, then we're going to just move, because we've already set it. And we can just return target. Yeah, I think we can do this. So if we need to set movement direction, we're going to get a target or not. Okay. All right, we had a brief connection hiccup. I'm checking to see if everything is still functioning. And it looks like we're functioning. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. Checking all the dials. Checking all the dials. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If we don't have mob target set, we're going to set movement direction. And we're going to pass in target as an object. If target, spelled right, is null, we're going to do a thing. No, that is not a good breakfast. Okay, so if the target is null, we need to get a target. No matter what, we're heading to get mob target set. So this will get mob target set. So this is where that comes into play. Yeah, this will still work. If a subsequent target gets set and we had to do this, then I still think we're okay. Because random target doesn't care if there's not a if there's a subsequent target. Maybe. We'll see on this. I might need to have the parent object notified once a target is set, so that it can then send the target down the stream. But I kind of like the idea that each time the target might get set. We'll get this working first. I think ultimately we're going to have to make it so that the parent container is the one that tracks the ultimate target, and that at the end of... Okay, yeah, I can without any modification, because each one of these is going to call with target, and it's going to return target. As a result of returning target, eventually at the end of the chain, the parent object will get the target, and it can then circle it back around into the subsequent calls. Yes. The reason that's important is that we're gonna need to handle that too. This isn't 100% done in this method. Hey there, Gregors. Anywho, let's get this going. So if the target is null, we need to get a target. This is how we get a target. Like so. Doesn't seem right. Not equal 0. That. Okay, so if we don't have a target, and if the mob count is not 0, so we can get a mob, then we're going to set the mob target. And then our direction is going to be yeah. Okay. If this one doesn't have a target, it could just sit still, but I like the idea of it moving randomly until it has a target. Yeah, Gregors, welcome back in the context of welcome back since the last time you were on. You joined us. Okay. So if we move randomly, we haven't set a target. But if we're choosing to move randomly, this one doesn't care about targets anymore. Hey there, Philip. Welcome, welcome. We are restructuring movement again. Just realized we're back to doing this again. So we're trying to set it up so that it properly chains things together, so that we could have multiple things in a row behave in a predictable fashion. So what I want this one to do is that it can identify a target and pass that along. But if it doesn't identify a target or have a target when it initially fires, then it doesn't care about the target subsequently. So this right here is what I'm referring to, is if there is no target and there are no mobs at the time that it sets up, that it just generates a random direction, and that's what it does from then on. Because once it's generated a direction, it doesn't care about targets anymore. Like right here, once, like, the ready function fires once, and once it's done, the direction is set. So I think vector is a simple type. Okay, I can evaluate it as a Boolean first, because this should never be 0, 0. 0, 0 would imply that it's not moving, and this can't not move. Okay. So we don't actually care if mob target is set or not. Because we're only going to use it once. Okay. So this will return a target if it gets one. Kitties are doing well today, Philip. You can see Ember is snoozing. She has flipped over a couple of times to toast the other side. Sky is currently soaking attention on my lap. Let's check the others real quick. Mason's in kitty jackknife position on the pillow there. I don't see Sherbet even in his little hutch, but Sammy is sitting on the cat tree. So Sherbet is lurking somewhere. Okay. All right. Let's think through this here. To do that, we can direction. If movement direction is true, we're just going to use that. And we're going to pass whatever is in target along. If we don't have a movement direction, then we're going to look for a mob. if we can find a mob, then we will set the target to that. So if we find one, then we set direction to that. So if we find one, we set the target. Otherwise, we set a random direction. Okay. We're going to take a quick break, and I will be right back, and then we'll resume with this logic. Yeah, Philip, I don't know what I would do if I developed a cat allergy. I really don't. Right, settling back in. Ah, let's see. Well, welcome back. Good timing, Tatum. And welcome back, Fairy. All right, so we determined what our flow is. So we do this notation. Yes, we can. All right. So if movement direction is false, which means it's 0, 0. Hey there, Julie. Most of the cats are getting some kibble right now. Ember is still snoozing, so we're gonna stick to Ember for the time being here. Sky demanded kibble. Okay, so if movement direction is default, if it's 0, 0, which means we aren't moving, then we're going to try for a new target. So this is... we're going to just move. Because if we have a target when it comes in, then we're going to use that as our target. So if we have a target, we're putting these passes in just as placeholders so it doesn't keep creating error lines and hiding other issues. We'll remove them in a moment. Quote unquote moment. So if we don't have a target, then we're going to randomize one. First, we're going to say if we can get a target. Okay, so following along. So if we already have a movement direction, we're just going to do that. If we don't, we're going to say, did I receive a target? If I didn't receive a target, then I'm going to try to get one. If I can get a target, I will then set the target. We get the direction here. No. This is if the target does not equal null. This is if the target equals null. So we're going to set the target. How does the character move? So the character moves, just a moment. Let's hop over to that briefly. Here we go. So this is in process, which is every frame. We check and see what keys are pressed. This is so what this is saying, like if I'm pressing up, down, left, or right, I have these globally defined as WASD. We will set the appropriate direction. We're checking each one in consecutive ifs because each one of them can be pressed at the same time. Once we've got that direction set, we normalize it. So what that means is if I do a diagonal movement, instead of moving faster than I should by moving up and right by 1, instead we normalize it. So I still move up and right by 1. Like the distance we move per unit time is uniform. We should be going live tomorrow. I haven't set the stream yet. The next couple streams will be uncertain because I haven't figured out, we don't know when we're going to be done with Power Wash for this DLC. Until we're done with that, we're going to have our game streams will be that. Once we are done with that, we're probably going to start weaving Ace Attorney back in. So we normalize it, and as long as we are, if we're not moving, we set ourselves, if we are moving, we set ourselves to walking. Otherwise, we'll set ourselves to idle. And if we're moving, we say, am I moving left? If I'm moving left, flip the sprite over because the sprites assume you're moving right. If we are moving to the right, we disable the flip. That is how player move. Okay, so if we can get a mob, then what we'll do is first we get a random number. So we say target is equal to. So now we've got our target. So we were able to get a target by the end of this, if we're able to have a target. So now we're going to ask again, if target is null. So by the end of this, if target is still null. If the target is still null, then our direction is random. So we rotate it. All right, Rex. Well, I appreciate it. Direction. That. Okay, so we've randomized it. Need you. So we're using this intermediary because we want to be able to do the multiplication here. This is where we're going to lock on to our target. Or global nodes dot as interface targetable. Okay. Target. This is a safety check. We need to make sure that the target is targetable. Welcome back. Is that supposed to be Blood Sniper? Effectively? Okay. Sniper it is. Well, thank you, Oreo. I am sometimes told that, and I appreciate it. I will take the compliment at face value. Let's see. Where am I at? There we go. Okay. So it has to have an interface. I'm sorry. If we get a target, but it isn't targetable, then we're still going to use a random direction. So we are making a game, Oreo. Right now, what I'm trying to do is get movement lined up. As in, I'm making it so I can chain movement patterns. We're making a Survivors style game, so like Vampire Survivors, where creatures will swarm in and your weaponry kind of fights them back. Hello, Sherbet. Hello. We just had one pass through the tree cam. Sky is looking down. One just jumped up. Okay, Sky is jumping down to look after something. Hello, Sherbet. Hello. Hello, baby. Brave, buddy. Okay. I'm trying to think how to plot this. Okay, so if this is false, then it isn't not there is a target and it is targetable. So we're gonna set it up here. We do this. Okay. So when we get a random target, if it's not targetable, we're going to null it. That means that it started null, we put it back to null. We could put an intermediary variable here, we're not going to. A reason I did that is so that we don't complicate it. Well, that's very nice, Oreo. That's very nice. So if the target's null, we use a random direction. Otherwise, we're going to get the positioning here by doing this. Targetable. I think that's what we set it to. Thank you, Oreo. Tomorrow we're probably going to do Power Wash Simulator Fairy. We still have to get through the Warhammer 40,000 DLC for that. We were working on a Thunderhawk gunship last time. Got normalized. Okay. Can't we do this? Direction. Speed times delta. Oh, I think we can. Okay. Okay. So this is all gone. Move this. Okay, so now we have a pattern for how the random mob movement will work. So now we need... Again, what we're doing is we're rewriting the way that things move in the game. Things not controlled by the player. So we also need to hit some of these other things. And what we need to do is implement this pattern. Okay, so to random mob, now we're going to do track player. Okay, this one is actually pretty straightforward. because it actually ignores the target and will only return, it will only change the target if it's null. So this is primarily for monsters in that it converges on the player. Okay. This equals movement direction. Target. Null. Target. 2. Player. The Amazing Digital Circus. I think I've heard of that one. I think I've seen YouTube videos and the like that reference it. Is that the one with like the almost like a Harlequin clown and a purple bunny? Amazing Digital Circus. Do that. Okay, so the movement direction, it determines each time because it's tracking movement. So it's saying get the player's position. Player's position we could change to use the interface, but we don't really need to just yet. We might need to in the future to change this. We could do a move towards here just to be consistent. Direction, yeah. Duplicate this line here for a moment. Player position. Move forward. A little more concise that way, I think. Did I miss? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want any speed. I mean, I could put any sort of speed there, but We just want a flat direction out of it. Okay. Okay, so this will track the player. And we're not using straight at player right now. We'll have to change that in the future. Let's get it now. Let's get it now so that we have it. Actually, we don't need to do much with this. We'll actually do this each time. Player. Just so. Okay. So in moving straight to the player, go to this ready function. When we're moving straight at the player, if the vector is 0 still, so if it hasn't already started moving, then we update it. This way, if the player is right on the thing that's moving to the player, it doesn't just do 0, 0, because otherwise the projectile will sit there for its whole lifespan, and I don't want that. So it will start moving to the player as soon as there's a vector. Once it has a vector, it stops trying to set it. Then, if it can move, okay. If movement direction, we can just do this. Might be able to do that in the player too. I think, yeah, we can do that in the player. If it does have a movement direction, if it's not 0, 0, then we will add that vector, that normalized vector, to this one. Ultimately, what we'll do before we actually move it is we will again normalize the body to move vector. Actually, no. This will still work. At the start of it, we'll zero out the body to move vector, and then we will subject it to all the changes. Yes. And just like with the other, because it's moving towards the player, all it will do is it will set the target if there is no target. Because it was moving towards the player, it doesn't care if a different target came in. Its direction is towards the player. This is another one that you generally wouldn't combine with others, but we're setting it up so it's possible. All right, now we need a new object. I don't like to say container, since that implies that it just contains things. Like, it's a list, and a list generally doesn't do things. That is a real cat, Ray. Switch over to the full cam array here. Aha. So you could just see her moving. That cat is Ember. The other cat we can see currently is Sky up in the cat tree. The rest are... Oh, here, let's... If you look at the top of the bed, the one with the big squishmallow and the black blanket, top center you can see a paw, and that's the third of the 5 cats visible right now. But no, we generally keep the camera on Ember because she's almost always there. Sky is frequently in his tree too, snoozing up top. Now, movers can contain movement templates. Movement template. But in any event, welcome, Rays. Welcome. Or Ray S. Just let me know which one it is. Trying to come up with naming here. So these are movement templates. They are just how you describe them. So these are methods of movement. We could just call it movement. You know, a entity's movement. Sure. Well, it'll be less functional right now. I can tell you that. It'll be broken. But I can show you part of it, I think. Cancel this. Let's see if it breaks. These purple bubbles are supposed to move. Same with these blobs. They're supposed to move. And because the blobs don't move, they don't collide with the player. The player collides with them, but the player running into things doesn't cause a damaging collision. The blobs are just being destroyed when the player bumps into them because one of the bubbles hits it. The bubbles and the blobs are placeholders. Movement is broken because of what we're changing right now. All right, so we're just going to call this a movement. Okay, so movement represents a group of movement templates, a collection of them. Body, current, not mob body, mob template. Yeah. Okay. As movement templates, which are a packed scene. So we're going to take this movement. Okay. So a movement object has a set of movement templates and speeds associated with them. So when a spawner is created and a movement is going to say function physics process delta bar target is an object verifying it is equal to null. Thank you, Zeno. That is that cat is Ember. She's our most photogenic kitty, in that she's reliably at camera 1. The other one, second most reliable, let's see if he's gonna make me a liar, is Sky, who is usually on, this is camera 8. He is up in the tree there. And I don't know if we're going to see any others. Yeah, the only other visible one is on the bed with the Squishmallow, and you can just see a paw at the top of that camera. Little bit of paw. If we zoom in on that. For those viewing in tall form, this isn't much of a zoom. In widescreen, this is very much zoomed in, and you can see much more of the cat. Because there isn't the frame on the image. Just a little bit. Oh, no, he shifted. There's more visible in general. Yeah, a little bit more cat. A little bit more cat. I can't tell if that's Mason or Sherbet. I'm going to guess Mason because I'm seeing a lot more tan and a lot less white splotch. But yeah, welcome, Zeno. Welcome. Okay, so in physics process, or template in movement templates, do a thing. Hey there, Brave Knight, welcome. Joining us for some chat and game coding. Let's see. So for each movement template, if mobile nodes dot as interface, this is a double check movement template and mover. All movement template mover move. Target delta. Brave Knight, this is called GD script. We're using the Godot engine, a game development engine, and it has a type of script that is unique to it. You can also use C# libraries for this one. But I'm using this as an opportunity to just learn a new programming language. GD script is also a bit more efficient for interacting with the world physics of the Godot engine, since there are fewer layers to go through. I believe it's noticeably more efficient when you're using the physics of the Godot engine to use GD script. But a lot of other things are more efficient in C#. So long term, we might circle back and implement some C# libraries to handle some of the kind of math. But otherwise, we'll just do this. Template. Is it movement template that had that? Ah, here we go. Here we go. It has a body to move. I'm gonna have to translate that. Do not understand that text, so let me just process it a bit. Sadly, I only speak and read English. No idea there. But welcome nonetheless. Assuming that wasn't rude, like I said, I don't know. DeepL Translate only parsed it as what seems like an acronym. Okay, so we call move, and then what we're going to do is body to move. Oh, no, 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 no. Then we'll do that. Just so. Out. Okay, so we now have a movement object that will go through each one of them. And set the body to moves. Each one of these is going to set body to moves movement vector. We could change mover move here. Oh, good call. I had been showing that one of the two siblings was on the bed there, but let's switch back over to Ember. Ember, Sky, and one of the siblings are visible right now. So if instead of just passing in target, we also pass body to move. Yeah, but we don't need to. We can just set it. Yeah. Like that. Yeah. There's a whole genre of people making shorts that is effectively like content that the person doesn't own behind or as an overlay with Usually more content they don't own. Looks like camera 1 might be going haywire here. Let's give it a kick. No? Come on, camera 1, get your act together. There it is. We'll use that one. Every time I switch scenes, it refreshes the cameras. Camera 1 is the least reliable. It tends to reset randomly. So it makes sense that a movement would have that. But I feel like mover move should have body to move. Yeah. I think that should be true. And then an individual movement template does have... no, actually it wouldn't. This would have a character body 2D. And now it ceases to have that. And then it doesn't need a speed because it will be told what the speed is. What to move at what its target is. How fast. Okay. I in movement template is equal to movement templates I. Okay. That's weird. Count. Okay, that's child count. That's different. Oh, okay. It's just size then, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so for each one of these, we'll then say target and movement template. Speed. All right, Tatum, we're going to be going for just a little bit longer. All right, so then we need to go into each one of the movers and to add a speed. Okay. Then in movement, we're passing all that in. So all of that should be functional now. Okay. So now we need to set it up so in the mob template, it creates a movement and pins that to the object. Sorry, in the spawner. Movement as a it's called movement. This is movement. Movement. Okay. Just in case. Movement dot body to move is equal to a body is that. So we delete this. Just so. And then, so this is the movement template. It do be like that sometimes, Kebo. Sometimes your ISP is just not going to be reliable. And that. Hope I don't have to change this. Be finite here. You know, we're going to say this. This work then? All right. Hopefully that won't explode. Let's actually put this back here. That. Okay, so what we've changed is that when we spawn the creature, instead of adding the movement objects to the creature directly as children, we're populating a movement object with the movers, and then we're adding the movement object as a child of the creature. Does it explode? No, but it doesn't work. All right. In movement, in physics process. With templates, array size 0. Speed, array size 1. Okay, movement templates are not going into it properly. Okay, that's part of the problem. This is peak programming, Kebo, where you get done with something and you're like, yeah, and it's totally going to work this way and everything's great, and then you try it and it's like it doesn't work that way. In fact, often it's like it does the opposite of what it's supposed to do. Okay, so the instantiated movement template is that. Which has no target. Doesn't really need a mob target anymore. There's a lot of the movement template that won't have those. Hey there, Squin. Well, I'm glad you randomly found it. We're only going to be running for a few more minutes at this point, but I appreciate it. If you do want to see the rest of this programming and chat stream, it will be in VOD form. Though I do warn you at the beginning of most of my streams, there's at least one bit of audio scuff that happens that I haven't solved yet. Okay. Append. We look at movement. It's movement templates. Okay, that's not working. That's our problem. This isn't functioning. It's like any new skill set, Kebo. Programming is something that you have to practice and learn. Well, there you go. That's convenient. Oh, and we did hit 4,000 last stream. and we exceeded it a little after. Good times. I want to thank everybody for being part of that. But with all that said, it's still broken. We're going to have to fix it, but we're going to wrap up here. The stream starts at 4 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Usually right about. So hopefully that'll work out okay. I will try to post the stream in advance so that you'll be able to see it and get ready for it. But yeah, okay, so what we did is we went through and we tweaked the movement again. Decided that at the end of the last programming stream that we wanted to make it so that you could chain movement back to back. Making it so that we could customize the movement to have a lot of different functionality. So it could, it could move in a straight line, but also try to veer towards a target kind of stuff. And you could do that on the fly. So instead of it having to have that movement predefined, we could define little pieces of it and chain them together or change it during runtime, essentially. But we'll see. It's still not working. There's part of it that's not functional. We'll have to fix that. But we'll see from there. And I actually am pretty confident I know what's wrong already. One moment. Bear with me. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Here, let me show this to you. Just real quick. This isn't working. But zoom. You can see the little blobs appearing and vanishing suddenly. So the movement is still broken. But I fixed it by changing this. Since we're not, it's not a node structure anymore. It is an explicit variable array called movement templates. This let me append it to the array. So yeah. But again, wrapping up, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. If you haven't already and you liked what you saw, consider subscribing to the channel, leave comments, all of that good stuff. Most of those buttons are positive things to do, so press them. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to be playing some Power Wash Simulator. We're doing the Warhammer 40,000 DLC. We're going to play that and do coding until we're done with that DLC. Then we're going to get back into our Apollo Justice Ace Attorney playthrough. And we'll see where we go from there. So again, thank you everybody for joining us, and I hope you have a good evening or morning, whatever it is where you are.